Competition has always been one of the biggest driving forces behind gaming, and honestly, behind almost every great product or service we enjoy today, when you look around, you really look around. Most innovation comes from one simple thing: nobody wants to get outperformed. So, think about it like this: there's only one doctor in town. He might be good, he might really be good, but he has no reason to improve. Everyone is forced to go to him regardless, but the second another doctor shows up, someone who offers better prices or better service, suddenly that original doctor has to step it up. That's competition doing its job. In gaming, it's it's not different. So, we look at competition in gaming, where it shows the most. It really needs to show. If you pay attention to the gaming landscape, you can literally see when competition kicks in, because that's when the best games appear. A perfect example is Call of Duty versus Battlefield 6. So, Battlefield 6's approach is to return to seriousness. It came in with a grounded, realistic identity, no Fortnite-style skins, no cartoon nonsense, just a military shooter that respects immersion, and that struck a nerve because for years, I would say for the past 6 years, Call of Duty has been leaning heavily into outrageous cosmetics. And look, I get it. COD isn't meant to be perfect realism, but when a modern shooter suddenly has Beavis and Butthead, American Dad, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles running around the battlefield, at some point you're not playing a war game anymore, you're playing a crossover theme park. Players were frustrated. They were missing the old days of Black Ops 1 style customization. Grounded, faction-based, believable gameplay. I mean, you go back on these older Call of Duty games, like go type in Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, any other previous Call of Duty game, and the night and day difference between them and what we have now is astounding. Like, I don't remember playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and being able to play as Nicki Minaj, hitting the freaking dab. Well, actually, Black Ops 3 technically had the dab, but you get the point what I'm trying to go with. So we look at how Battlefield forced COD to change. When the Battlefield 6 beta launched, the numbers were pretty huge. Even queue times were breaking records. Call of Duty, they did notice this. This was something that did not go under the radar. They knew about it. And that is where the competitiveness of competition, it kicks in. So now suddenly, Activision started making changes players have been begging for years. Reduced skill-based matchmaking. It hasn't fully gone away, but at the same time, it has reduced quite a bit. Also, returning classic features like no more disbanding lobbies. Oh my god, why did they get rid of that? I'll tell you why they got rid of it. Because that was how the skill-based matchmaking would best put you in. So it would kick you out and you were forced to find another match based on your skill level. Weapon prestige coming back. Why is something that was taken out a long time ago now all of a sudden being advertised as a new feature? More grounded cosmetics, not really, but at the same time, at least so far no anime skins, but I really question if they're gonna hold themselves to that, along with system requirements tightening. So when Battlefield announced that, they were gonna require secure boot, couldn't speak there for a second, and TPM, what happened the next day? Literally the next day, Call of Duty said they were gonna do the exact same thing. And it wasn't just out of kindness. It wasn't because, they wanted to do it. They felt bad for the consumer. No, they did it because, it happened because the shareholders were pissed that the players were jumping ship to Battlefield. And that is where the true nature of competition kicks in. It doesn't just happen because maybe companies actually do care, but certainly not Activision. You know what they care about? They care about how many little Timmys and how many, as Blame Truth best says, how many Billy Goat 57s are going to be buying the Battle Pass. That's the only thing they care about. And the only time they bring in these quality of life updates is when, they notice that players are going to drop soon. So let's take a look at Rockstar Games, because they are also a prime example of why competition is so important, and it's GTA 6, you know? Rockstar Games, they've been milking GTA Online for a decade. No, better yet, over a decade. When Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, it came out in 2013. Think back to where you were at in life in 2013. A lot of us were still kids. A lot of us, didn't even hit puberty yet. And honestly, we look at Rockstar Games and GTA Online, and sometimes we ask, why wouldn't they? There is no true competitor. The closest thing we have is Saints Row, and if we're being completely honest, it did not challenge GTA's throne. I mean, the reviews alone, you can look them up on Steam charts, or you can look it up on Steam, they're not so great. It's not a bad game, it's just people were expecting a true competitor to GTA, and it wasn't delivered. Now, let's look at the flip side. If Rockstar did have a competitor breathing down their neck, GTA 6 would have been released years ago. But because they've dominated the open world space for so long, they've had zero pressure to speed up development or innovate anything quickly. And no, mansions coming to the game is not innovation. That is something that the fans have wanted for a while. No competition equals slow progress. Because we would have had GTA 6, honest to God, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, who knows? But, Rockstar Games and shark cards. I think we can all attest that shark cards are probably the worst thing that happened to Grand Theft Auto Online. We even look outside of gaming. Look at Apple versus Samsung, and the constant, shifts that they've been doing, especially in the, smartphone industry. Competition, it pushes tech forward too. Apple and Samsung have constantly been trying to one-up each other, even though both have made questionable decisions, like removing the headphone jack. Fun fact, Samsung actually clowned on Apple for doing that, and then they went and did it themselves. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But one thing that people need to understand is that if Apple slacks, people will go to Samsung. If Samsung slacks, people will switch over to Apple. The same relationship, it needs to exist in gaming. So, I read a survey that the EY.com actually put out, and it captured some pretty interesting points. I'm going to go ahead and link it down below in the description for those that want to check it out. I highly recommend you check it out. And this is what the survey had found. It found that 72% of gaming executives said more competition creates more innovation. These are gaming executives. These aren't developers that are actually coding the games. These are the people that are leading the company and where it needs to go. 83% of said industry is under pressure to evolve faster. The Xbox CFO, Tim Stewart, openly said competition proves gaming is worth investing in. So, if we have a CFO and other executives admit that competition improves gaming, that means that players are definitely going to understand it too. Remember Sega versus Nintendo as well? I mean, long before PlayStation and Xbox, it was Mario and Sonic. Before COD and Battlefield, it was Mario versus Sonic, and that rivalry produced some of the best titles ever made because both companies were trying to outdo each other constantly. When competition is high, innovation is high. Now, today, competition is pretty scarce, minus some good examples, which is why so many games feel lazy, rushed, or copy-pasted. Now, we have to look, why do games feel lazy today? There has to be a why behind everything. People say developers are lazy, but that's not the real issue. The real problem is executives, they want to milk franchises instead of actually trying to outshine competitors. If companies feel like you have nowhere else to go, they get complacent. They start drip-feeding content, delaying features, and releasing half-baked games. Because what are you gonna do? As the consumer, what are you honestly gonna do? There is no competition offering something better. But the second a real competitor appears, like Battlefield 6, all of a sudden it's like these companies just gain consciousness and they start to wake up. Now what about XDefiant? People said XDefiant failed as a COD competitor because of a lack of skill-based matchmaking or some other mechanic. That's not true though. It failed because it promised things and then they didn't deliver. You see, they pulled an Activision, but they didn't have Activision's clout. The idea was solid, it was absolutely amazing, it's just that the execution sucked. Overall, I think we can all agree that for the future of gaming, we need more competition. I believe the gaming industry can turn things around, but we're kind of stuck in a pretty weird place. Too many companies are comfortable, too many executives want easy money, not enough studios are willing to take the risk of challenging the big dogs. That's what we need. But when companies do challenge them and stick with it, the results are incredible. Because in gaming, just like anything else in business, competition creates innovation. Innovation creates better games, and better games create happier players. If companies want to stay alive in the long run, they need to remember something simple. Players always have a choice. If you stop delivering, we'll go somewhere else. Me, you, the viewer watching this video. The moment a worthy competitor steps up, that is when true competition comes out. That is when good games come out, because companies realize they're no longer gods and they actually have to try. They have to, it's like they have to try. It's no longer easy street. It's you either try or you become Sega. Look what happened to Sega. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. I'll see you in the next one.